This is a film of Jackie Morris reading Little Evie in the Wildwood, written by Jackie Morris, illustrated by Catherine Hyde. These are the end papers, which are very beautiful. It's a forest. Little Evie in the Wildwood, and the book is dedicated to Evie, who went for a walk in the wildwoods with me, and for her mum, Cathy, who likes to work with stone, and for the wild wolves with love. And Catherine dedicated it for Chloe, who was heading off into the wilds of the world. So, let's see. Little Evie stepped over the stile and into the wild wood. She followed the pathway her mamma had shown her when she was young. There are creatures watching. There's a blackbird. And there's a hare. And there's more birds up here. They're watching little Evie step over the stile and into the wild wood. It was cool in the wood, the pathway was clear, she could smell the damp ground where her feet disturbed leaves that had fallen to earth. And the trees made a tunnel to show Evie the way. A deer in the stillness, and a hare running in the wood. High leaves and a tunnel of trees. In patches of sunlight, butterfly wings brushed her face. Up they flew towards the emerald light as golden leaves tumbled, turning together in a spiral dance. She could hear the leaves as they touched the earth. Small birds chattered, insects hummed, the wind sang a soft song high in the treetops. The wood pigeons called a soft-voiced warning. Be careful, Evie, be careful, Evie. She looked back and could just see the bright gold of the field in the afternoon sunshine, like a gold ring behind her. And this is the wind moving through the trees with the birds. Deep in the wood now, the pathway was darker, and little Evie felt so small beside the ancient oak trees, twisted by age, heavy with leaves. She looked up, and the sky was all green leaves, a forest roof high over her head. From deep in the wood, a fox barked a sharp call. Her basket was heavy and the pathway seemed long, so she sat for a while and listened to the bird song and the sound of the green wood. Leaves growing, twigs cracking, the rustle of beetles, the buzzing of bees, flutter of feathers. High above the leaf roof, a mournful buzzard mewed. Deep in the wildwood, the wind song was like the roll of the ocean. The pathway was dappled, dark and mysterious. Little Evie clutched her basket tight. She could feel eyes in the forest, watching, waiting. Little Evie, so small in the forest, and in the trees, moving through the trees, the shadow of something following. Now the pathway opened into the clearing in the heart of the wildwood. The sun was so bright. Dragonflies hovered over the long grass. At the edge of the clearing, a cave dark as midnight. "Excuse me," she said, voice soft as a bee's wing. "Excuse me." No answer, but she thought she felt a low growl that made the earth tremble. Little Evie stood in the clearing. The evening sun kissed her face. See what she's standing in. It's a shadow of something. Let's have a look at little Evie's face. She's very brave. And then out she came, with great eyes the better to see her with, great ears the better to hear her call, sharp teeth like daggers and a nose black as coal. She stood in the clearing before little Evie, filling the world with wildness. And little Evie looked up into the amber eyes of the wolf. "Excuse me," said little Evie, "but Grandma sent me with these for you, a gift." The wolf licked her lips. Evie held out the basket, pulled back the cloth, and shining inside like blood-red rubies, 7 tarts with bright jam and golden pastry. In the clearing in the middle of the great wild wood, the wolf and the child shared the tarts, so warm in the evening sun, so sweet. And little Evie stroked the wolf's velvet ears, leant against her side, listened to her breathing, and around them the wildwood held its breath, waiting. Beautiful picture. I love this wolf's face. You hear the wood pigeons. "Be careful, Evie." When only golden crumbs remained, the wolf lifted the basket. Little Evie, tired now, climbed onto her back. The wolf was warm in the chill air of evening. They headed back on the path through the woods, a trail of birds behind, pecking golden crumbs. Through the old wood and the twisted oaks where the owls had begun their evening song, to the edge of the wildwood, where the trees reached out into the field. And halfway between the cottage and the wood, little Evie turned. She could see the sun setting golden, caught in the treetops. She could see the rising full moon glint in the wolf's eye as she watched from the edge. And then she turned for home along the pathway, so familiar, and there, at the cottage door, was her mamma waiting for her. And there's the full moon, caught golden by the last of the setting sun, and her hair, some owls flying. Little Evie's home now. It's time for the wolf to go back into the wood, into the dark, where the badger lives, and the owls fly. And that's the end of Little Evie in the Wildwood.